Damn it! I want the sprawling murder puzzle that Arcane Studio promised. It sucks that Deathloop doesn't live up to the lofty goals of the developer. There was so much potential going in, and it just doesn't meet those expectations. The gameplay does have shining moments, and the setting of Deathloop elevates it beyond mediocrity. But a few key elements keep Deathloop from being a must-have time-hopping adventure, so don't get too excited by all the hype. Welcome back to No Time Gamer. We provide reviews, tutorials, and more for the busy gaming life. If you decide to give Deathloop a chance, know upfront that the beginning of the game is probably the worst time you'll have enjoying it. There is a lot the game has to cover to get you up to speed with the world of Deathloop, the mechanics of the gameplay, the rules of the world, and how the looping system functions. It was almost overwhelming and made me wonder what I was getting into. If you're not familiar with Deathloop, you play as Colt, a mercenary and arms specialist who is stuck on an island called Blackreef, and you will be dying repeatedly to break the loop and escape. You'll need to kill the 8 Visionaries who made the single-day time loop to break it. That's the gist. Knowing that, let's start at the beginning. Deathloop was really intriguing at first. The mysteries of who Colt is, his relationship to assassin and main antagonist Julianna, more on her later, and the history of the Visionaries really grabbed me. And the way they set up your starting set of gear is pretty cool too. However, the worst part about starting the game is how weak Colt and his weapons are. Colt has no powers or quality weapons to start the game, and this lack of power pretty much forces you to play stealthy for the first few hours. While the AI in the game are dumber than rocks, they can overwhelm you pretty fast, so you'll need to tread carefully. It makes for a slow start and doesn't fit into the whole play the way you want selling point. And this lasts for about 3 hours to get you through the intro and to the point where you can save better guns and slabs, the things that give you powers. To get you through it quickly, it's best to stay to the quest markers early on. You'll get your chance to roam freely later. I was worried about Deathloop's difficulty considering how the first few hours went, but after clearing the intro, saving my first quality weapon and slab, I was ready to take on the Visionaries. And this leads to the first 2 major disappointments with Deathloop. First is how you track down the leads on the Visionaries. Arcane Studio bragged this game was a murder puzzle, so I was excited to have to listen carefully and dig through everything to find the clues needed to take down my targets. I thought I would learn the weakness of the big bads and that no 2 people would find the exact same solution to killing them. Boy, was I wrong. Just follow the magic floating diamond and all your answers will be revealed. To hunt down the most efficient ways to kill your foes, you just need to follow the marker to a room, find some tapes or letters, maybe turn some shit on or off, and repeat. No real thinking, no searching, nada. There are different routes you can take that are more prone to stealth or action, but that's not the kind of options I was expecting. This was my biggest letdown since there was no nuance to the discoveries. What's worse is that once you find a Visionary, they're not really a boss fight. I guess expectation is everything, but I was looking forward to some epic battles. But Visionaries have little more health than most normal baddies on the island. The only things that make them anywhat superior are their slab powers and top level weapons. And their AI scripting isn't much better than the regular AI. They move around more and are more accurate, but are pretty easy to take out. Even Julianna isn't the big adversary she is hyped up to be, for the most part. Julianna is unique among the Visionaries, as she is the only one trying to hunt Colt down. When she drops on the scene, she'll only do so once per loop, at most, and she will block your exit from the area with a jammer. You have to disable the jamming signal to unlock the exit, and you can either do that covertly or kill Julianna and do it openly. Honestly, you might as well take her out. She usually hides by the jammer anyways, and as I've said, she's not that hard to kill. The only thing that makes these encounters unique is her relationship with Colt. They clearly have a history, and she is the only Visionary to have a constant back and forth with him. The other way to make her more challenging is to allow human players to invade your game as Julianna. I had no interest in this myself, since I wanted a single player experience. But obviously, this will make Julianna fights a bit more challenging, so allow it at your own peril. And you can mess around with other people's games if you want to play as Julianna. Still, it made fighting her another negative mark against what was built up. Couple this with the brain dead AI, and things could have spelled disaster for Deathloop. But all is not lost. Somehow, despite all its flaws and failings, Deathloop was still fun. Maybe as a busy gamer, it's easy to forgive a game that ends up being a little less difficult than I expected. I genuinely thought Deathloop was going to be hard. In the beginning, put me in that mindset. But once I got slabs and guns and trinkets that buff weapons or abilities, I was kicking ass and taking names. I love a good power fantasy, and Deathloop does deliver here quite quite well. I still had to be somewhat careful when approaching enemies. You do get a power in the beginning that allows you to die twice with a slight rewind before a third death resets the loop entirely. So this made things forgiving, but it still made sense to pick off a few enemies before going in guns blazing. And this combination of stealth and fury was how I like to play, and I was rewarded for my playstyle. And the slabs are great too. Shift is obviously going to be a bread and butter power for anyone who does any amount of sneaking around, but the other powers are fun to play with too. I just wish you could equip more than 2 at a time, because I'm not removing shift from my build anytime soon. And Blackreef and the 4 sections of the island are another saving grace for Deathloop. While you are stuck playing on one island in 4 sections, each section of the island changes depending on which time of day you are there. This made each combination feel like a new level. A good example was my visit to the complex area. During the morning, I poked around there hunting for clues in a laboratory, and it was bright, low on enemies, and pretty easy. At night, I came back to kill Igor, and the area was littered with booby traps and crowded with drunk, masked nutjobs waiting to take me out. Couple these location dynamics with a cool style and environmental storytelling, and Blackreef has a lived-in feel. Deathloop has gotten a ton of praise, and I'm not sure why reviewers have been so generous. It is not the play your way murder puzzle that was promoted, but the game does not lack merit. It really can be fun to play and provide a quality power fantasy. Just don't expect a game that meets the hype. I really wish Deathloop had fulfilled its end of being a mystery to solve in your own way. It would have been a blast, but knowing what the game is, it's still fun. So for busy gamers, Deathloop is time somewhat well spent.